on his first project in the Speaking to Inform manual. His speech objectives are to present new and useful information to his audience, to organize the information for understandability and retention, and to present the information in a way that will help the audience to learn. The title of the speech is called Don't Count This Please welcome Christian Knight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and to Leroy and Ryan and any other Catholics in here. Let me just say this: forgive me, Father, for I'm about to sin. 6 years ago, that would be the year of our Lord, 2010. 6 linguists from Michigan State University, the University of Maryland, and the University of Michigan noticed a pretty benign fact about a slightly annoying aspect of everyday life. And that is this: that some interviewers, some telephone interviewers, are better at getting the person on the other line to participate in the interview than others are. Pretty boring stuff. But they wanted to know why. What makes some interviewers more successful over the span of their careers than others? They had a feeling that it came down to one of 3 characteristics. The first is something they call back-channeling. Back-channeling. That is any sort of verbal cue that I'm actively listening to you. Oh. Yeah. I get it. That's back-channeling. The second is something they call overspeech. This is not a good thing. This is when we are talking out of rhythm. Maybe I'm even interrupting you. And the third, the subject of this speech, is something they call disfluency, or a filler. Here in Toastmasters, we call them verbal crutches. We know them most prominently by the words ah and the easiest words in the English language, and maybe language in general, to say. They hypothesized that when a telephone interviewer uses ah and sparingly, that it's more effective, that they would get the person on the other line to participate in the interview more regularly. Now, for this speech, I'm going to be saying on a lot, and we count our ahs and ums here, but I'll be saying them intentionally. So for the sake of our ah counter, I thought I should come up with a replacement for the easiest word to say in the English language. And I thought, what could be better than the hardest word to not say in the English language as my verbal crutch? So for the sake of this speech, I'll be using and relying on as a verbal crutch the easiest word in the English language, the hardest word in the English language to not say. And for anybody who's ever missed a bus, forgotten a child, or changed your car's oil, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Except I'm not going to be saying it like that. I'm going to be saying it as if it's a verbal crutch. As an example, if I were to start the speech out again, I would say, so, I'm going to be talking about got it? Good. And it starts with these 6 linguists who had this hypothesis about these 3 characteristics of speech. What they do? Well, they tested this. They gathered 5 different studies and listened to 1,200 different recordings of interviewers trying to get other people to participate in their interviews. And sure enough, what they find? They found that the people who use ah and sparingly got the most interviews. The people who use ah and not at all were very unsuccessful, and the people who use too many were unsuccessful. In fact, the magic number for ah and is between 0.18 and 1.27 every 100 words. That is about 1 to 7 ahs or ums every 600 words. or 1 to 7 ums every 3 to 5 minutes of speaking. So have we been doing this all wrong here in Toastmasters? The writer and linguist, Michael Erard, thinks so. He's got a PhD in English and a master's in linguistics, and he's also got a book called which I've been reading. And he says we've been too judgmental on that serves a variety of purposes, and one of them is to attune attention. This has been observed in children older than the age of 2 who were told to look at an object, and when they were told to look at object, they paid more close attention to the object. So we've been doing it all wrong. Maybe, but I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. A couple weeks ago, at the dinner table, my family and I were engaged in a family ritual. It's called Favorite Part of the Day. During this time, we each answer 3 questions. What's your favorite part of the day? What's something you're grateful for? And tell me something neat you saw somebody else do. The point is to increase positivity in the family, but also to give each of us a time when we can just express ourselves as free of judgment, free of pressure. What I noticed was we spoke hardly any ums. We spoke hardly any ums. And so that made me curious. So I came to work and I started secretly counting ums of my coworkers as I engaged in conversation with them on a person-to-person level. I noticed very few ums. In fact, one of the guys, Marius, he's an engineer, he sat down by my desk and spoke for 5 minutes, a monologue about a bicycle he wanted. He had 2 ums. And then, immediately after that conversation ended, he ran downstairs to an engineer's meeting where he had to speak for 5 minutes about anything of his choice. He said 29 ums in the same 5-minute stretch, from 2 to 29. I took this same thought to our CMO meeting, City Manager's Office meeting, just on Monday, and amongst the 14 of us who delivered 5-minute reports each to the city manager, that's the boss of the city, and the 2 deputy city managers, we spoke a collective 290 ums. One of us spoke or or so 76 times. 76 times. But when I speak with each of these people individually, when they're talking about something personal, something they know to be true, when they're free of pressure, free of judgment, they speak hardly any ums. So if and is more natural, which is the contention of these researchers, why don't we use it when we're feeling most natural?